Hi, and welcome to an episode of the Play Therapy Circle. I'm Kylie Ellison, a therapist, clinical supervisor, and play therapy trainer, and I'm so grateful you're here. This podcast is a space for thoughtful, soulful conversations about child-centered therapy, play-based work, and what it means to show up with presence and compassion, both for our clients and for ourselves. Whether you're a seasoned play therapist, a student just starting out, or someone deeply passionate about working with children, you belong here. Hi everyone, I am so excited to be here. Welcome to our very first episode of my brand new podcast, The Play Therapy Circle. I am so grateful that you're here. I have been very excited about the opportunity to start this podcast and want to share a little bit about how I got here and my vision and my hopes for this podcast in connecting with all of you. So thank you so much for finding me and joining me on this journey. I'm so grateful to have all of your support. So I guess starting off and sharing a little bit about myself. For those of you who haven't met me before, it is so nice to meet you. My name is Kylie Ellison. I have been doing specifically child-centered play therapy for the last 10 years. I completed my training back in 2015, and I have been in love with the approach ever since. And I've had many people over the years, both students and supervisees, say to me, I would love to hear more of you. And I guess some of the things that I have learned along the way and some of those experiences I can share. And I felt like this podcast might be just the right place to do that. So I have a background in psychology and counseling. I have an undergrad in psych, an honors in psych, and a master's in counseling and psychotherapy, and the advanced training in play therapy. I have been working in the human services field for over 20 years now. And like I said, specifically working in private practice for the last 9. So next year will be my private practice's 10-year anniversary, which is super exciting too. So I am keen to share, I guess, my learnings along the way. I always say that I am always a learner, and the day that I feel like I'm ever an expert is the day I need to retire. So I am super keen to walk this journey with you in talking all things play therapy, which I am so passionate about. So I have definitely been working alongside children and families and fellow therapists for a long time now, and I've noticed from the conversations that I've had with so many people that we crave that genuine connection and that opportunity for reflection in our work, but it's often missing that space. So I've created the Play Therapy Circle as a place where we can gather, where we can share ideas and stories and soulful conversations that we can circulate in our true circle. So I felt that podcasting would be a lovely way for us to talk about lots of different topics related to play therapy. And I'm super excited about that opportunity to do it with each of you. Podcasting definitely feels like the most human way to do it in finding that space to support others and create that circle of community. It's honest, it's intimate, and it allows us to slow down and reflect. So here we are. So who am I hoping this podcast will reach and help in their child-centered work? So definitely therapists in the space and those students. I often get questions along the way with the training that I provide, along with supervision of topics, especially in the beginning days as a play therapist, that you'd like to know more about. And I guess having sort of 10 years under my belt, I don't feel like I'm an expert, but I will definitely give it my best shot to share some of those learnings and skills that I've developed over the years along with those experiences. And as one of my beautiful clinical supervisors, Dr. Jody Mullen, hello Jody, if you're listening, she once said to me and referred to her clients as her teachers. And I have used that ever since because it resonated so strong with me that I feel like every day that I walk into the playroom with a child, I get that opportunity to learn more about myself and expand my own growth and learning, as well as the opportunity to support kids through play. And I think the honor and the privilege of being able to do that and watch children and witness their healing is a powerful thing. And I only was speaking to a family today, actually. I've got quite a few kids on my caseload these days, and this one particular family I've been working with for over a year now, and we're coming to the end of that journey with that client. And the feedback that I received from the family was just beautiful. And it just, 10 years down the line, I'm still taken aback when I get that beautiful feedback, because to me, it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like my purpose and what I'm here to do. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to work in private practice with the team that I have. I have a beautiful, beautiful team. Shout out to Eva and Shaz. And I have dove back into clinical work over the last 18 months, as well as supporting clinical supervision with supervisees of all stages of their growth. And so it has just felt so connecting for me to be back in the playroom and to be able to connect with families and support their journey, whatever that looks like. So I am super keen to share those reflections with beginning students, for those working in the field, helpers and educators and families along the way. I have no expectations for this podcast other than to be able to share all things play therapy. And so I'll definitely start there and we'll see where this journey takes us. I'm super keen to see. But I'm definitely keen to connect with people who hold, I guess, those true values around what Carl Rogers and Virginia Axeline began, this incredible journey of child-centered play therapy, by having some of those key tenets around congruence, empathy, and unconditional positive regard. And I often say to students when I'm sharing this space with them and learnings in play therapy, I think that it's important in our interactions with those we connect with that we align with those values. So I am nothing but congruent and authentic. And so I look for in our circle those who want to join with that same authenticity would be incredible as well. And certainly those that are passionate about child-led work and supporting children and families in that reflective practice would be amazing as well. So it's also for those who sometimes feel a bit isolated or unsure or stretched a bit thin. I want to normalize every one of you and your experiences that you have in your work each and every day. I'm hoping that this podcast will keep me accountable as well, that I will commit to somewhat of a balance in work and life. I haven't quite got there yet, but I guess I'm keen to share that journey with you as well. And so I want to show up as authentically as I can to share the good and the challenging times of working in this space. So I'm certainly keen to connect with you if that resonates. I have so many different topics listed. I'm hoping to release an episode every week. So please follow along and get in touch if you've got ideas along the way. But I certainly have lots of ideas for the rest of this year for those weekly podcasts. So some of those topics include things like working with trauma in the playroom, working with attachment theory in the playroom, which are all very important, how we regulate ourselves and how we co-regulate children in the space. I want to talk about all of the skills of child-centered play therapy. And for those of you who are beginning in the field, I'd really love to share some of those key beginning topics that are super important to you. I know lots of people have mentioned to me around expanding that space of doing parental carer consultations and what that looks like for beginning play therapists. So I'm super keen to share that, but also to deepen the skills and knowledge of those who are more experienced in the space. I am very passionate about psychodynamic psychotherapy and that lens that it plays in the playroom, no pun intended. So I will have a variety of topics that stretch that continuum of whoever is listening, but certainly am keen for other ideas as well. And no doubt along the way, we're going to talk about lots of different experiences that have shaped my practice and helped me to be the therapist that I am today, that can connect and meet children where they're at and hear and hold their stories, which is so important for all of us in this space. So I want to emphasize in those tenets of CCPT around congruence and empathy and unconditional positive regard that I think we can't be therapists without acknowledging that we can't be perfect. This isn't about a performance here in this podcast. I want to make sure that you feel that connection, because this is an invitation to all of you listening to share in our passion of child-centered play therapy and hopefully inspire each of us to extend our practice in the future. So I like to think of it as like supervision for the soul. I really like that. So I extend that to you. I think if I was to start off this podcast by acknowledging all of the teachers that I've connected with over the years, and there have been many, and there continue to be many, I am so grateful for every child and family that I work with. I think that when I talk about or think about pivotal moments in my career, I think there's too many because I think so many of the kids that we work with teach us different aspects of ourselves along the way. I think it's the children, though, that really open up their hearts in the playroom and share incredibly vulnerable aspects of self, and really do so because we've been able to create a safe and trusting space. And I feel like that is just such an honor. And I am really struck by the silences in the playroom, the times where words aren't needed, and so much of that psychodynamic lens around the conscious and unconscious mind comes into play. And even more so, for those of you who I supervise know a lot, that I talk a lot about transference and countertransference. You can't talk about play therapy without it, in my opinion. So I think it's when you truly connect with the child in that way, where you connect to that unconscious space and that transference and countertransference experience, that, gosh, it is, like I said, an incredible privilege. And I think that the children who come into our playrooms at the start really struggling, especially kids with anxiety symptomology at the moment, at a time where we are seeing an incredible uptick in the presentation of anxiety of children around that 4 to 6 year old age group bracket. And we have lots of research that talks to some of the factors that are contributing to that now. And I'll certainly love to share with you about that in episodes to come. But I think that those children who come in crippled with anxiety, both in their affect, in their nonverbal communication, in their physical body, it is such a privilege to see that shift and change over the course of therapy work. And I can't wait to share some of those examples with you. I think that also too, going hand in hand with that, is children who present with really complex symptomology and background and presenting issues where it needs, and for our intervention to be effective, we need to hold space and time for those children, despite some of those external pressures that we might feel, especially when it comes to funding bodies and other stakeholders. That can be really tough. I just want to let you know, if you're listening along and that's something that you're struggling right now, I see you. I certainly connect with you in that space. It's not easy. 10 years down the line, I definitely still have those moments where I'm kind of like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I know what I need to do, but you still feel that sense of uncertainty. And I think that that's the best part, though. And I often share to students when I'm doing the training that ambiguity, that long-term intervention with kids and everything that goes with that is part and parcel of the work that we do. And it's always extending us. It's always making us work to develop our skills even further, hone and craft our skill. But at the same time, that sense of doubt can often creep in. We can often wonder if we need to move into more of a talk-based approach because we're feeling that pressure. I think that that's one of the struggles that I have had over the last 10 years. I'm keen to hear in the weeks and months ahead what some of those challenges for you might have been. I think ultimately, though, it's such a sacred place, the playroom, and it is, like I said, a true honor and privilege to be able to do this each and every day. So I am excited to connect with you. These are going to be short episodes so that you can listen along when you're driving in the car or you're going for a walk. I hope that it adds to your toolkit. I hope that it makes you feel seen and heard in this space, because play therapists need that community. We need to feel connected. We need to feel supported. And I'm hoping that this circle can offer that space to you. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you being here, and I can't wait to share with you more in the weeks and months ahead. Bye for now. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Play Therapy Circle. If anything resonated with you today, I'd love it if you could follow the podcast, share it with a colleague, or leave a short review. It really helps others find our circle. And if you have a topic or question you'd love me to explore, I'd love to hear from you. This space is for you, and I want it to feel like a conversation. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember, you belong here.